everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing here some test hands for the zombie horde deck that I recently profiled. So I do hope you guys are actually excited about this. This was a deck that really just became a really fun deck for me, given how flexible the deck could actually be when it came to the different plays and unique techniques that you could actually employ. Of course, you guys will be seeing that in this particular test hand video, but with that being said, if you guys enjoyed this video, definitely consider dropping a like, share, comment and subscribe. But without further ado, let's begin. Alright, so here are some opening hands here. I guess this is definitely something that is good enough to start with, not necessarily the best because we have two uni-zombies, making it quite redundant to be honest, but I think we could definitely still pull things off here. So with that being said, let's begin with our uni-zombie. This will allow us to obviously send off one monster from our hand or our deck to the graveyard to increase a zombie monster by one level. So uni-zombie is going to send off, how about we go with, maybe I'll go with the Necro World Banshee, or could I perhaps go with the Mizuki instead? That could actually be a pretty nice move there, because the second thing I'll do is use Uni-Zombie's effect, and this will allow you to send off, Gozuki to the graveyard. However, when Gozuki is sent to the graveyard, you could use its effect right now, but that would be wasteful. Instead, I'm going to wait and pass up on that, because what I'm going to do is banish off Mizuki's own effect and special summon back out our Gozuki. So during the main phase, you can now send your use the Gozuki's effect to send a zombie monster from our deck to the graveyard. So in this particular case, what are we going to ditch off to the graveyard? Well, it's up to you, but my personal recommendation in this particular circumstance would be an extra copy of the Mizuki, just because you're going to be benefiting off this a lot. So we're just going to send off the Mizuki here. It's just an extra copy and we'll come back to it later. But what we could essentially do here is we could take the Gozuki and the Uni-Zombie and we're going to link them away. So this might come to a surprise to you guys of course, but it definitely does work out quite well here. We're going to summon out our Vampire Sucker. What's amazing about Vampire Sucker is that when you special summon a zombie later on, you get to draw a card. Of course, it has to be from the graveyard, but even so, that's okay because we do have an extra Mizuki. But now that the Gozuki is actually sent to the graveyard, we can banish off one of our zombies. We're going to banish off here the Uni-Zombie, and we're going to special summon out one of these cards. So you could either go for Necro Banshee, or you could go for another Uni-Zombie. In this case, I'll go for the Necro World Banshee. Next up, what we're going to do here is we're going to take our other Mizuki, and we're just going to banish that off and summon out our Gozuki once more. So now with that being said, Vampire Sucker allows you to draw a card because you have a zombie special summon from the grave. So we're going to shuffle our deck and draw a card. Alright, so now we draw one card here. We get another Mizuki. I don't particularly think it's the best, but I guess, you know what, it's okay in this particular case. Might not be the worst option ever. But what I do like about this particular circumstance is that we could now just go for a link summon once more. So we take our Gozuki, our Necro World Banshee, send them to the graveyard of course, and we're going to summon out this time an It Masquerina. Very nice in this particular case. Obviously want to make it so that you guys can see everything, but we're going to banish off our Banshee now since it got sent to the graveyard, and this will allow us to summon out, or at least activate directly from our deck, a zombie world. And of course we have over here Foolish, which we could activate, allowing us to then get rid of our Glow Bloom. So where is that? Right over here, in which case we banish off, allowing us to special summon out our Balladrock. An absolutely powerful move in this particular circumstance. You still have two cards over here to prepare for the next turn. Another Uni-Zombie play, absolutely amazing. But of course you have your It Masquerina, your Vampire Sucker, and also your Balladrock. Very powerful You get one disruption, you get a potential next disruption over here. All of your opponent's monsters become zombies in both their grave and their field. Now in terms of responding, on your opponent's turn you can go for the Masquerena, chain it with the Vampire Sucker, allowing you to directly go into your Unicorn, which would then allow you to in turn discard your Mizuki, which will fuel your graveyard, but at the same time you get to spin one of their cards back into the deck. Another option is this. Let's say your opponents really brought out some monsters that wanted to just attack into the Belladrock. In that case, you could use It Masquerena as a means to chain and link summon yourself into a Crusadia Abramax, which would definitely be a fine option because Crusadia Abramax prevents the opponent from attacking any other monster except for itself. So in turn, you would also be protecting your Belladrock. Gives you both offensive and also a bit of defensive options as well. Alright, so very interesting hand in this because technically we drew into 3 different hand traps, which is, I mean, that's pretty crazy, but we did draw into a Solitaire, which is very nice. Now the thing is this, we're playing 3 Solitaires and 3 Unizombies, so it's kind of easy to draw into them in most opening hands, and even if you don't, I think you could still play it off with different cards anyway. But being that we did draw into the Solitaire, a great start of course, pretty much the most optimal start, so we're just going to get rid of it and bring out our Unizombie in this particular case. So let's bring that out over here. And next up we're going to use the Unizombies effect, so this will allow you to actually ditch off several cards in this case. So if you want to get rid of Mizuki, feel free to get rid of that, and of course you could use Unizombies effect as well, and this will also in turn allow you to get rid of your Gozuki, which is definitely a fine option. That is fantastic of course, though it does make me think what else I could potentially get rid of. Do I want to get rid of the Necro World Banshee in that case and get out Zombie World? That would be an option, or I could go up for a Glob Bloom as well, but I think the Gozuki would be best because it is in turn an extension of that by getting out an extra resource, and then once he comes out onto the field you could also just get rid of another card from your deck to the graveyard. So great option there, great thing to actually consider when playing this card. So we're going to take our Mizuki, banish it off, summon out a Gozuki. Gozuki's main monster effect allows you to then ditch off a card to the graveyard, so now in this particular case you can go for your Zombie World. Absolutely brilliant of course. Well, rather, this will allow you to get rid of your Banshee, in which case you banish it and activate your Zombie World. And of course, with that being said, you have Gozuki and Unizombie, and this will allow you to essentially go for a Link Summon, which we will bring out our Vampire Sucker. So Gozuki now goes to the grave, we can banish off whatever we want, keep the Unizombie just in case we could actually bring it back with another Mizuki, so that would act as another tuner and another means to get rid of cards to the graveyard. But we'll banish off our Shirano Solitaire, and of course this will allow us to special summon out our Fraulein, which is a fantastic option. So this is not necessarily the most extensive of plays, but it still gives us something out there. The Zombie World will hurt certain decks out there, but at the same time we also have the Ash Blossom and also the Effect Veiler, 2 hand traps to deal with. And if your opponent knows about these 2 anyway, they're definitely going to have a bit of trouble trying to get over this because they know they're going to be attacking into something that's going to be racking up a lot of attack points. Alright, so over here we have, wow, 4 hand traps. Good thing Effect Veiler is actually not a hard once per turn, so you technically use 3 hand traps really well. And you have the spare Ash, which I guess is nice, but we have Upstart, so we may as well just activate it, see what we get. We have a Zombie World, activate it anyway, and that's essentially what you have. That's pretty crazy, really short Testhands, so let's just move on. Wow, this is pretty crazy, I guess. I mean, there's 2 Mizukis in hand, so if you manage to get both of them to the graveyard, you can benefit a lot out of this. Great thing, we started off with uni zombies, so just going to be discarding one of our Mizukis, of course, and then we're going to discard one more card from our deck to the graveyard. So in this case, let's go with our Gozuki, of course. As always, do not use that effect just yet. We're just going to banish off the Mizuki, bring out Gozuki. Gozuki's effect allows us to then ditch off a card to the graveyard. In this case, we have quite a few different options available. It's definitely quite fun in this case to experiment and see what we could potentially do, but I do believe in actually going for maybe, in this case, a Glow of Bloom, and this will allow us to then discard, or at least banish it, allowing us to then add our Balladrock to our hand, which would be quite a powerful move indeed. And yes, I know we're not going for the typical zombie world play, but that's okay. We could take our Gozuki and our Uni Zombie, link them away, allowing us to go for our Vampire Sucker, in which case we could banish off the Uni Zombie using Gozuki's effect, allowing us to special summon out one monster from our actual hand. In this case, it's up to you what you want to go for. You could either go for your Mizuki, or you could even go for your Balladrock. That would be a fantastic option as well. So let's say we did bring out Balladrock and we put it underneath here. That would be fantastic, of course. To extend on that, you do have a Monster Reborn, so if you wanted to activate it, bringing back the Gozuki and trigger off the Vampire Sucker, that would also be a great option as well. Of course, that is up to you in this particular case. You still also have Mizuki here, which is definitely quite nice, because let's consider something slightly different. Instead of bringing out the Balladrock, with the Gozuki, what we could do is bring out the Mizuki as always with the Gozuki effect, and of course we can activate our Monster Reborn, allowing us to summon back out our Gozuki. This will trigger off our Sucker, so we're just going to shuffle our deck and draw a card. And now we're going to draw. We get here a Solitaire, which is great because it does give you an option to, again, go with the same combo on your following turn, which is great, of course. But we can take the Gozuki and the Mizuki, and the two of them will easily go into our Imp Masquerena, and without a doubt we can easily just banish off our Mizuki, special summon back Gozuki again, and leave it as is, because what your opponent will be scared of now is pretty much you going into a unicorn, because they know Imp Masquerena's right there. And like I said earlier, with the Vampire Sucker and the Imp Masquerena, together they could also go for Abramax, which is a great way to prevent the opponent from attacking into anything else. It's a great way to protect your life. And of course you have your Effect Veiler, you have here a Doom King Balladrock, which kind of acts as really nice fodder as well in the graveyard, if we can get it there, but we have Solitaire easily going into another Uni Zombie on the following turn. It's absolutely fantastic because it sets you up for future turn plays as well. And as you see that I did a bit of adjusting with different plays, I could have stopped at one point, but I chose to extend it. And that's the thing with the playtesting of this. When you're playing a deck like Zombies, you have so much potential to go into so many different things, and it really just comes down to what kind of situation you're being placed in. So I definitely do encourage you guys test out as much as possible. It really does help out. And if you are playing against other people, don't be afraid to lose. Sometimes it's good to just experiment with your plays and see if something works or not. That way you're just getting a lot more experiences on what this deck could potentially do. However, this was pretty much it for the test hands, so I do hope you guys enjoyed this. I will be doing some test hands going second in a different video, so do stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, thanks for joining me today. I hope you all have an ecstatic day. I'll see you all next time.